I could hear someone crying through our open window, a far-off sound, halfway between a whine and a whistle. It got louder, and then a girl with wildly streaming red hair stuck her head into the room and let out a long, mournful wail. I woke with a start, and for a moment I didn't know where I was. A plain, roughly plastered ceiling was just a couple feet above my face. What was I doing way up here? I looked around cautiously, just with my eyes, not moving another muscle. The thin morning light streamed across the room, and the curtains blew and flapped rhythmically against the windowsill. I hugged myself, and breathed out a long sigh of relief. Of course there was no one at my window. We were a couple of floors off the ground. Silly Astrid. Dreams are funny that way. All sorts of impossible things happen, and they seem normal at the time. And then you wake up, and it's like you were visiting some other place. A place where outlandish things happen, floating red-haired girls, silly. Then I remembered. It was my first day as an apprentice. "I'm so jitterhappy," I called out from my bunk way up high in our room. I stretched out my fingers and touched the ceiling. It was oddly warm. "Why?" I started to ask, but Jenny tumbled out of bed and growled, "Keep it down, Chicken Little." I leaned over the side of my bunk and watched her as she opened her drawer, pulled out a white apprentice uniform, soft shirt and pants, and let herself into the bathroom. I heard the shower running in quick bursts. Karen poked her head out from the middle bunk and looked up at me sleepily. "I can't believe we get to sleep in this late." She smiled blissfully. "It's actually light out." I grinned back. Karen was used to waking up extra early with her parents to start the morning baking. They had to have everything ready by the time their first customers arrived. Not like at our house, where things happen in their own time. My mom, Annika, and I spent most mornings quietly reading until it was bright and the birds announced it was time to get out of bed. When one of us got hungry, we'd go cut some bread and cheese or make oatmeal. Sometimes fish and potatoes, if we had some leftovers from dinner. My stomach growled. "Time for breaking our fast," I sang and shimmied down the side of the bunk bed. Jenny threw open the door and stomped past me. "What are you so happy about?" she sneered. A cloud of pleasant-smelling water vapour surrounded her, something herby and flowery. "What is that good smell?" Karen asked. "Mint, rosemary and verbena," Jenny ticked off on her fingers. "It's the soap that's in the shower. Pretty swanky stuff." "You can tell all that?" Karen and I looked at each other, impressed. "Oh, that's easy. We used all of those in our shop, especially for little mini corsages you attach to your collar. They're really popular in the city." "Gotham, you mean?" I asked. "Duh. I'm not talking about Lundeberg that smells like cows." "It's Luntown," I said, "and it smells a lot better than stinky old Gotham." "No offence, little chickie," Jenny put up her hands. "It's all about what you're used to." She slammed the door on her way out. "What's her problem?" Karen shook her head. "I think she's worried about her parents." I tilted my head at her quizzically, but before she could go on, there was a resonant chime from a copper bar on the wall I hadn't noticed yesterday. It vibrated twice more, and then was silent. 3 bells for mealtimes, Karen explained. "Oh boy, let's go." I headed for the door. "Don't forget to change," she called me back. "Astrid, you're not at home anymore. You shouldn't go downstairs in your pajamas." "But," I started to argue. Karen teased me without saying anything, just by lifting her eyebrows and nodding over and over. It was funny how much she looked like her mum when she did that. Okay, I said. I didn't actually mind putting on the uniform. It was super soft, cotton pants and a t-shirt, both with the apprenticeship logo. Karen stopped me and pointed at the bathroom. "Shower first. Be fast." I ran into the bathroom, showered for 2 minutes with the heavenly-smelling greenish liquid soap, and skipped into my uniform. Karen pushed me out the door and said she would be right down. I dawdled a little on the stairs. I peeked into the boys' room that looked just as empty and untouched as it did yesterday. 3 perfectly made bunk beds, and no clues about who they belonged to. I felt a little nervous about meeting 3 new people at once. But maybe the boys will be nice. They're all older than me, of course. I have to admit, meeting Jenny didn't go so great. I spent all day yesterday mostly just listening to Jenny bragging to Karin about her great life in the big city. Karin's so nice to everyone. Of course she didn't say anything, but I was thinking it. Last night we ate sandwiches delivered to our room in a picnic basket, since everyone else was out on some job or other. But today I'll get to see what it's like eating at the big table with all the apprentices. And I'm one of them. For half a second, I remembered that there was supposed to be someone in my place. Or rather, I took her place. Who would decide to give up working at the garden? Taking care of the unusual plants and creating exciting new foods for everyone. It's like one of the most important, useful things you can do in Scandiland. My thoughts were interrupted when I heard Karin leaving our room, so I hurried up a little. I didn't want her to think I was afraid of meeting the boys. I hopped down the last few stairs and came into the front room just in time to hear Jenny say, "Peep, peep, I'm a baby chick." And then she and the two boys sitting on either side of her burst into laughter. A third boy sat a ways away from them, silently looking off into the distance. He was so pale he almost blended in with his uniform, pale skin, pale eyes, and a shock of white blonde hair. "There she is," said Jenny brightly. "Our own little wunderkind Astrid Fischer. Get out your autograph books, boys. She's the youngest apprentice ever." "That's not strictly true," said the quiet boy. "The first apprentices were a range of ages, from 8 to 18. It wasn't until the 3rd year that they established the rules and set the minimum age to 11. He looked at me briefly and then turned his head away. "I'm almost 11, I said. I felt faintly ridiculous. I didn't ask to be here, with these rude people. Karin stepped up behind me and put her hand on my shoulder. "What's for breakfast?" she said, interrupting whatever story Jenny must have been telling about me. Good old Karin. "Same thing every day," said Bud Gardner, who came in from the kitchen. He was wearing an apron and carrying a large tray with 7 dishes. "We have oatmeal, eggs, kimchi, and roasted vegetables." "Weird," said Jenny and the two boys. Karin and I sat down and passed bowls along until everyone had theirs. "Thank you for this food," said Jenny, to no one in particular. I stared at her and then found my voice. "That's really nice of you to say, Jenny," I said. "It's just something we say in our family," she said, looking hard at her bowl as she twisted her spoon to pick up a little of each ingredient. Over breakfast, I learned everyone's name. The two boys on either side of Jenny were twins, but not quite identical. Ben and Jamin. "Our parents only planned on one kid, so they split the name between us," said Ben. He was smaller than Jamin. They both had brown hair, brown eyes, and dimples when they smiled. I could tell they were used to turning on the charm, and it sure seemed to be working on Jenny. I was happy to see Karin was immune. She sat between me and Lars, the pale boy, who was the oldest. We ate quietly while the others cracked one joke after another. Show-offs, I decided. I had never had oatmeal that was spicy instead of sweet, but it was actually completely delicious. Jenny and Jamin made a big show of cleaning their bowls, racing to finish. "Everyone rinse your own bowl and put it into the auto-wash," said Bud. He led us into the surprisingly homey kitchen that had the same appliances we had at our house. Induction stovetop, convection oven, pressure cooker, and infrared grill. But I had never seen an auto-wash before. It cleaned and disinfected one dish at a time like magic. We trooped back to the meeting table, and Bud set a presentation tablet in the middle where we could all see it. "We'll start with an orientation meeting where we all get to know each other." "Didn't we just do that?" said Jamin. Ben shook his head a little at him and frowned slightly. "No, that was breakfast, Jamin. Pay attention." I turned to see Dr. 𝘼𝙨𝙯𝙁 in the doorway. Jenny snorted, and Jamin had the good grace to blush a little. "During this apprenticeship, you will work as a team," said Dr. 𝘍𝙎. "It is of vital importance that you understand what each of you brings to the table." "This table?" said Jamin, smiling. "Yes," said Dr. 𝘍𝙎 flatly. I could tell that old dimples and charm trick wasn't working on Dr. 𝘼𝙨𝙯𝙁 either. My picture appeared on the presentation tablet. "We will start with our youngest recruit, Astrid Fischer."
Time for a break. Let's pull out our journals and do a little writing together. Remember, every episode of Astrid's journal comes with a reader's guide or activity sheet. Follow the link below. Have you joined Astrid's Journal Club? Sign up on the Socratica Foundation website. Find the link below.